Welcome to the 7th episode of the Vintage Kitchen. This week I'm going to be making one of my 2-year-old son's favourite treats, Sultana Scones. It's a classic English food, but my recipe comes from an unusual source, the Town Gas Cookery Book, published by the Hong Kong and China Gas Company. My copy is the 11th edition from 1972.
A boy was walking his bumblebee, he tied it to a string. The sky was lit up with violet light, a bird began to sing a song of sixpence.
To make these scones, you're going to need 1 pound or 450 grams of self-raising flour. If you don't have self-raising flour, you can use plain flour and 4 teaspoons of baking powder. You'll need 4 ounces or 110 grams of butter. Cut your butter into small cubes because that will make it easier for later on, and soften it at room temperature. You'll also need 4 ounces or 110 grams of sultanas, 2 ounces or 60 grams of sugar. I'm using caster sugar, but you can use regular white sugar, and 1.5 US cups or 360 mils of milk. You'll also need a flat bladed knife for mixing. This is a traditional technique that helps treat the dough gently while you're mixing it, and it stops the finished scones from becoming hard or rubbery. Finally, you'll need a little bit of plain flour to stop everything from sticking to your tabletop. Start by preheating your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit or 220 degrees Celsius. Sift your flour into a large bowl and add the butter. Rub the flour and the butter together with your fingertips until it's a breadcrumbs consistency. Don't be afraid of getting your hands in there and really rubbing it together. The scone as we know them today came about because of Alfred Bird, who I've mentioned before in the video that I made about custard. He developed baking powder, and without baking powder, scones were a lot different than the way we know them now. They were much flatter and denser. So I'm just going to finish mixing this and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. There we have my flour and butter mixed together. You can see it's quite a dry consistency. It doesn't take long at all. Now add your sugar and sultanas and give that a mix. If you notice any pieces of butter that you haven't mixed in completely, mix them in now. Now it comes to adding the milk. Make a well in the centre. You see I've made a big dip in the centre there. This is where mixing with the knife comes in. Pour in a little bit of milk and you're going to mix in from the edges very carefully, cutting it through with the knife. Keep adding the milk, a little bit at a time. And keep doing that until it forms a paste. Be gentle. This technique helps to stop activating the gluten in the flour, which would make your scones dry and a bit rubbery. Keep mixing that together until it forms a sticky dough. You might not need all of the milk, so be careful while you're tipping it in. Mix it up and see if you need a little bit more. Sprinkle your tabletop with a little bit of flour. Tip your dough out and knead it very gently until it comes together as a smooth dough. You want to be very gentle because you don't want to make it rubbery. Roll your dough out to about just over 1/2 inch, not quite 2 centimetres thick. And using a biscuit cutter or a cookie cutter, about 2 inches across, cut out small circles and put them on a baking tray lined with greaseproof paper. There they are on the tray, all ready to go into the oven. This recipe makes about 1.5 dozen, so if you don't want that many, you can halve the ingredients used. I'm going to cook these for somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes. It completely depends on your oven and where in the oven you put them. You ready to have some scone, Charlie? You want some? Let's put some butter on. You gonna have some scone?
Okay. Not then.
No, not. Oh, a little bit warm in the middle. You blow on it. Put some butter on. Mummy cut it in half for you. Yeah.
My mirror.
There you go. This one's not hot. And that's how popular scones are in this house.
Cook it.
You gonna eat some?
4 and 20 blackbird pie. Did your wings forget to fly? And did you sing